You get the impression, don't you, that the theatre of Budget Day is getting more and more irrelevant every year. More is announced before the budget, more is staged, managed, more is predictable, yet we still see the same old political drama played out. There's the series of exclusive one-on-one interviews by the Treasurer. Then there's the picture opportunities, of course, with the family, replete with plenty of budget messages. The drops to the newspapers about big spending on this or big spending on that. The tantalising shots of the budget papers being printed containing all of the secrets. These would be the same secrets like the changes to the deficit bottom line that are leaked out to the media to, of course, control the narrative. Then there are more picture opportunities with the bureaucrats. And, of course, there's the final pre-budget messaging.
Congratulations on all the great work that you've done in the process leading up to this budget. It's been great working with you.
Thanks, Josh. Well, it's a very important budget, getting us through the pandemic, which is still a big threat.
Absolutely.
But of course, continuing to secure jobs growth for Australians and deliver those essential services, which matter so much to the ordinary and day-to-day lives of so many people.
That's right. This budget tonight is all about securing Australia's economic recovery.
Have you had to sum it up in one word?
Recovery.
Very good stuff, wasn't it? Look, it's like the script was written for Budget Week 3 decades ago and everyone just sticks to it, even though everything has changed in this digital world. Far more is leaked, so the media and the surprises from the budget lockup are much more limited than they used to be and much less important, of course. The lockup itself is therefore increasingly more for theatre and less for keeping secrets. And the pandemic this year has changed the way the lockup is happening in Canberra anyway. More journalists and analysts will be getting the information in more places, often their normal workplaces. They're just not allowed to tell you the details until after the budget speech. So watch the speech on TV, then go online. You can see all the budget papers on the Treasury website. You can catch up on the lockup pretty quickly. That's what I'll be doing tonight for sure, before I pop back on the telly here with Paul Murray later on to share my thoughts. The point is that the whole farcical theatre of Budget Day needs to change. It's out of step with the digital age, the 24/7 news cycle, the way we get our information these days, the age of instant information. They might as well just have the budget speech now in the middle of the day and put out all of the information at lunchtime. That's what I think we need to see in the future. Anyway, that's the theatre of today, and that's all to unfold, of course, later on here tonight on Sky News. It's all largely anachronistic and redundant, but what about the substance? I find this budget deeply worrying, and I reckon most of you would too. First, yes, we know that we're still in this pandemic. It's been a massive hit, and the government has done a lot to keep people in work. JobKeeper has kept us afloat over the past year, and we are bouncing back strongly, a lot more strongly than most people dared to imagine. But there was always a balance to be struck between spending huge amounts of money and locking down hard, as compared to keeping the economy as open as possible and spending less. I think most of the country probably thinks that Scott Morrison and Josh Frydenberg have got that balance about right so far, even though most of the states have been too heavy-handed. The question is, what do we do from here? Because all the extra debt, all the extra spending has to be paid for by someone. It is all future taxation. After the global financial crisis and Labor's overblown stimulus, this country spent 10 years, a full decade, chipping away at the budget repair task to get spending back down below 25% of the economy, where it should be. Now the coalition has just obliterated that in response to the pandemic. Last year, federal spending jumped to nearly 30%, and this year it's on track to hit around a full third of the economy. We'll find out later tonight. But we'll have the largest deficit in the nation's history confirmed. That's a certainty, even though it won't be as deep as forecast only a few months ago. So we shouldn't be getting too complacent. We shouldn't be patting ourselves on the back too much with the largest deficit in our history. I'll be looking tonight to see how quickly that's going to be reined in, how quickly we can expect to reduce government spending below 25%, back to where it should be. But I fear it's going to be far too long a distance away, because the coalition is baking in lots of recurrent spending, whether it's in aged care or childcare or mental health, all worthy causes, of course, the spending's going to go on forever. It'll need to be paid for forever. Structural reform seems to have been put on the back burner in favour of ever-increasing government spending, putting government at the centre of everything, just like a Labor government would. To this end, the political divide over budget strategies has largely been wiped out by the pandemic. This makes it harder for the coalition to portray Labor as the party of big spending and high debt. And it also makes it harder for Labor, of course, to say they're the only ones who'll deliver the services we all need. Think about it. The government pays for maternity leave before a baby is born. Then the government pays for childcare. It pays for preschool. Then we expect government to provide schooling. And we get government subsidies for work and for housing. And then there's free healthcare. And then government pays for our retirement and eventually for our aged care. Government, government, government. Cradle to the grave. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Tonight won't buck that trend. It'll help entrench it. Self-reliance, I fear, won't get much of a look in. We've got to build more self-reliance and personal responsibility into our system. And at the moment, the pandemic is providing the perfect excuse and the added impetus. We're only getting increased involvement and spending from government. It's a hell of a worry, I think, in the long term. Where is the constituency for small government now? Where is the party of small government? Labor, of course, offers no stark alternative. Its only criticism of most government spending measures is that they should have come earlier or be spread more widely. So we've got an old-fashioned spending competition now in what is shaping as an election year. I'll be watching at 7:30. I've got a lot of time for the Treasurer. He's an old workmate of mine, and he's got a good story of recovery to tell. But unless our economic growth continues unabated with no more hiccups in the foreseeable future, we'll have to face a reckoning sometime. We'll have to pay for all this sometime. Just because the pandemic didn't hit us as bad as we feared doesn't mean the recovery will be as painless as we hope. We always need to make sure we don't expose ourselves to the next shock. We need to build up some financial resilience. In the meantime, you might as well lap up all the extra spending and the announceables tonight, because your kids and their kids will be paying for it.